Alright folks, so my technology is not cooperating with me, so I'm trying to record on my phone. Alright, so I want to start off this lesson by saying that this is not really going to be a lot of new information, hence is why I'm having you guys do this at home. But the section name is 5.1, Randomness, Probability, and Simulation. Alright, so here's probability. So the probability of any outcome of it's supposed to be A. Yay. A chance process is a number between 0 and 1 that describes the proportion of times the outcome would occur in a very long series of repetition. Alright, so words we already know. So we already know what proportion means. It's basically equivalent to percent. We have between 0 and 1, so this might make you think of like number probability or bell curves. So basically we just want to know what's the probability of something happening. And there's never really over 100%. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, but 200% is not really a thing in this world. More vocabulary. The law of large numbers. We haven't had it written this way, but this is actually something that we have covered before as well. It says the law of large numbers says that if we observe more and more repetitions of any chance process, the proportion of times that a specific outcome occurs approaches its probability. What that really means is, let's say we flip a coin 10 times. We know that the odds of getting heads is 50-50, but we might see more tails or more heads in basically flipping a sample of 10 than we would in a much larger sample. There's actually been people in history who have flipped a coin like 10,000 times, and even they didn't get 50-50. It was approximately 50-50. They were to get something within like 49 point something, you know. Now, here's an example of what I'm talking about with repetitions. So we have two graphs here, which yes, I do want you guys to copy down. This first graph is basically, and it tells you kind of right here at the bottom, and if you guys can see this part right here. So it says figure A is the proportion of heads in the first 10 tosses of each coin. So as you can see, this is not really close to where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 50-50. But, you know, kind of all over the place. Versus over here, on the second chart was actually the first 500 tosses of a coin. Now, it jumps up and down, basically, and it stays relatively close to about 50, especially the further you go. Look, over here, it really starts to become really close to 50. Right here, it really matches what we have over here. It's kind of sporadic all over the place. But the more you toss, as it changes, it goes up and down, and then eventually it just becomes like, hey, we know what the probability is. Alright, simulation. We've actually done a couple of these already. So simulation is the imitation of chance behavior based on a model that accurately reflects the situation. So we've done coin flip before. We've actually flipped the coin. We've used our calculators. So on the calculators, a couple of you said, you know, use 1 or 2. 1 is heads, 2 is tails. Some of you guys, we did, you know, from 1 to 10, we did that. Evens are head, odds are tails. Let's see. And then basically, here is how you should be running these simulations. So describe how to use a chance device to imitate one trial repetition of the simulation. Tell what you will record at the end of its trial. So when we did the whole coin flip thing, as part of this bullet, we would have had to say, hey, the evens are going to be heads, the odds are tails, and then the tell what you record part, you actually want to record heads to tails. So let's say the first number I got was odd, I would write down a T. Second one was, you know, even, I'd put down an H. And then it says, bullet 2 says perform many trials of the simulation. Sometimes you might have to do it more than once. And then the last one says, use the results of your simulation to answer the question of interest. So for example, we have had a couple of questions where, kind of like today actually in the Frappy, it was, the last part says, hey, is this a chance occurrence? Well, if you can actually perform a simulation for it, after about a couple repetitions, it should be obvious whether it's chance behavior or not. But that basically is like I guess, the preview lesson. There will be more in this chapter. We are actually gonna have formulas, but this is enough to basically get your homework done for tonight.